in 3, 2, 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Talent Underground. Today, I'm joined by a guest, and I would say a friend of the show at this point, Carol Ferrone. Welcome. So, you're an icon, TV presenter, and you're the star of ABC's Back in Time for Dinner, where you and your family took audiences on journeys throughout Australia's past, bringing history to life as late as the 1950s. Since then, you've also been an avid supporter of Oz Arab media. You've emceed our gala dinners. You're hosting the Ames Helen Award. You did it last year. You're going to be doing it this year. You've even given a lending hand in the grand opening in the studio, the one that we're sitting in right now. With all that being said, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. It's awesome to have you here. How are you today?
I'm fabulous, and it is such a pleasure to be here. So thank you for having me.
That's all good. I mean, let's jump straight into it. So you've had a pretty big career. Your resume is not small by any means. At what point did you realize pursuing a career in media is something that you wanted to do? And at what point were you like, okay, I'm actually kind of making a mark in this field?
It's interesting that you asked me this question, particularly this week, and I'm going to tell you, I'm going to start off with a quick story. So just recently, actually on the weekend, I was going through some archives, and a cassette. Now, I don't know if you know what that is.
I know.
Okay.
Not that yet.
But watch my show, the 1970s episode, shameless plug, and you will find out. People, you'll find out what a cassette is if you are under 40 years old. Anyway, and it's a cassette that my dad recorded when I was 2 years old. I'm not going to get emotional. My dad's still around, by the way. And I'm 2 years old and I'm singing. And it's very cute. I have an English accent because I was born in the UK. And I'm singing an ABBA song, and it just reminded me of stories growing up, how my mum tells me that I always used to perform as a child.
Yep.
I'm an only child, grew up with just my parents, so no other family. And my mum's always said that I've always been a performer and I've always commanded attention. Nice. Surprise, surprise. Somewhere along the line, of course, you have to get real and get a real job. Yeah. I worked in finance and actually hated it. Anyway, come to 6-7 years ago, I always hated my jobs, I'll be honest, working in finance, but, you know, you have a family and a
How long were you doing that for, finance?
Not very long, actually. To be honest, I don't know, 5 years. Okay. Had some kids, ran my own businesses and did other things. Mm-hmm. Funnily enough, everything kind of, I don't regret any decisions that I've made because they're all pieces of the puzzle that kind of make up the person that I am and the personal brand that I've created, sure. Which I had a sneak peek of your questions and it'll all make sense later on. But I guess to answer your question, look, the opportunity literally tapped me on the shoulder. So, my family and I were at the shops and somebody literally tapped me on the shoulder and said, I really love the look of your family. Are you interested in auditioning for this show?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's literally how it happened.
That's one way.
I didn't consult my family. I was like, yep, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Yeah. And fun fact, 9,000 people had applied for our show.
Oh, wow. But you guys were the ones that got picked without even having to apply.
To this day, we've never actually applied for our show.
Jeez.
Now, when I said all my different kind of life experiences brought me, I guess, to that moment, I was actually running my own coaching business.
Okay.
We didn't lie in the audition. You can't.
Yeah.
But I coached my family on how to nail the audition. Not what to say, how to say it.
Fair enough.
So, 9,000 families applied and I guess a few auditioned for the show.
Yeah.
They obviously hadn't found the right one. And the rest is literally history.
Yeah. Well, pretty ironic you say that. So the whole show is literally based.
Yeah, and I really found my calling for many reasons. We can get into them perhaps later on. But I truly found my calling, which is essentially being a storyteller and sharing my life and my experiences and history with the country.
I mean, more on that note, what was your initial reaction when you were approached by the producers for this show? It's an interesting concept, the whole thing of taking the whole family and moving them back in time so you guys live literally with the resources that they had from the 1950s onwards.
Look, the initial reaction, we actually didn't know what we were in for. For me, it was look, I won't lie, it was like, wow, we're going to be on TV. We're going to be on TV together. As we were going through the journey, so it's a 3-month process where we shut ourselves away from the rest of the world and technology.
That would have been the hardest part.
You know what? It's actually not.
Really?
Perhaps for my kids, we get asked this a lot. You know, how do you survive without phones and technology? Forget that. How do you survive without a washing machine?
Yeah, that's the real questions.
That's hard. But the great thing for me is, apart from the fact, actually, no, I'll start again. The best thing for me is with the Back in Time series, coincidentally, it brings together all of my passions.
Yeah.
Family, number one, my family. So my, you know, one of the top 3 questions I always get asked by every journalist is, or no, actually not by every journalist, by randoms, are they your real family? Yes, that is my husband, and yes, they are my 3 kids. So family, food, history, interior design, fashion, more history of fashion.
Yeah.
Human interest stories, people, diversity, culture, immigration. All of my passions are wrapped up into one show.
Yeah. I mean, that's what more can you ask for, huh?
What, like, everything that I love, I get to do in that series. And even though the series is over for now, because who knows?
Yeah.
ABC, you have my number. I get to do everything that I love, and I get to do it with my family.
Yeah.
And I get to walk in the shoes of a woman from the past, but with the experience and knowledge of hindsight as a woman of the present.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's definitely a cool concept. And I mean, that leads me straight into the next question, I guess. What was the biggest learning experience, I suppose, being not just from that show, but on television as a whole? Did you learn? I assume you would have learned a bunch from it. What would you say the biggest thing you learned, took away from it was?
I guess the biggest thing, like I said, it is hindsight and learning from history.
Yeah.
And I guess there's so many lessons. The privilege I have as a woman of today, things like, I say this to my youngest daughter is still at school. She's in year 12, and she has these days where she says, I don't want to go to school, and things like, you're so privileged you're so lucky to have the privilege of being able to go to school.
Yep.
You know, do you remember the 1900s where girls finished school at age 12? Or it's that privilege of hindsight.
Yeah.
You know, I sent my son off to war in World War I. Obviously, he didn't really go to war. You're a young man.
Yeah.
But it's that privilege. People don't realise, yes, essentially it's a TV set. Well, I don't like to say a TV set because we actually lived that life 24/7, 7 days a week for 3 months straight. The camera crew go home, but we don't. We, especially in season 2, which was 1900 to 1949, we had no electricity, we had no plumbing. In the Great Depression, we had no food, so we were eating livers on kidneys on toast and all manner of disgusting foods. I think it was 1913, I should remember this. My son, I kissed him goodbye, and I get emotional, and watched him walk away off that property in an original Anzac uniform. I felt what mothers feel till today.
Wow.
Go to war, and I bawled my eyes out, and all the mothers in this country cried with me. Like, I truly felt that experience.
Yeah.
What did I learn? I guess I learned what it felt like to be a woman in those different eras. Even in the 1970s, when I got my first job, after being stuck at home in a kitchen for 3 or 4 decades, whatever it was, I felt that elation of walking out. I mean, yes, it was in a very cool orange safari suit. I rock a safari suit, by the way. But I felt that elation of that independence.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I can get in a car and do what I want.
Yeah, for sure.
If I choose to be a stay-at-home mum, I have that choice. If I choose to be a career woman, I have that choice. Like, women today, especially young women, I sound like I'm 80 years old, we really don't appreciate choice. One word. We have choice. I know it's not perfect, but we have choice.
For sure.
So.
And that whole show definitely would have just kind of given you a deeper appreciation for all the things that you have today.
Absolutely. Such a perspective.
Yeah.
And truly, anyone that knows me knows how much I love it. Like,
Yeah.
I truly, and it's hard.
For sure.
But I love it.
I mean, anyone that watched that show would have seen your love, your passion for storytelling in a
Yeah.
long form sort of setting. What's your take on the growing trend of short form content? I doubt that the stories that you told and the perspectives that you put yourself in will be able to be retold within a TikTok. How do you take the growing, I suppose, popularity of short form content?
Oh, look, I have an appreciation for it. I'm a huge Instagrammer, and
Yeah.
I do share my day-to-day life on social media.
For sure.
For me, it's a form of connection. It really is. And even before social media was a thing, I am over 50 years old, or 220.
Whichever way you want to go
I
with
look
that.
good. I use good skincare. I've always been the keeper of memories in our family. So
Yeah.
for me, social media and recording my day-to-day life
It's an
or whatever
archive
happens,
almost.
it is
Yeah.
exactly right. It is an archive.
Yeah.
So for me, I quite enjoy social media when it's used appropriately,
Yeah, for
if
sure.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for me, I do enjoy it, and I do think it's a form of sharing and building a personal brand,
Yeah.
which I think is very important,
For sure.
especially if you own a business.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've spoken about the fact that you have this TV show, you're a presenter, you've done so much for us, and you obviously have that massive social media archive. I mean, you're very technologically savvy. What would you say that your magnum opus is, your proudest moment, whether that be on television, whether that be on social media? What was something that you look back on fondly, regularly, and be like, okay, this is one of my biggest accomplishments?
Oh, okay. Two biggest moments. One
Yeah.
is big and one is small but big. My biggest is the Logie nomination,
Yeah.
season 1. I've been to the Logies twice. Walking the red carpet for the first time is huge.
Massive, yeah.
And when a lot of people, mainly family, who can be your biggest critics, when the show was first commissioned and we were cast, a lot of people, you have a lot of critics, a lot of naysayers.
Comes with it, yeah.
It does, comes with the territory. Having said that, I have an abundance of confidence and I can brush that off like it's
Yeah.
dust.
That's it, yeah.
And, it's just ABC. It's never going to take off. Oh, it took off
Yeah.
and smashed the ratings. And I know it's because of us.
Yeah, for sure.
We have, there's 5 of us. We all have very different personalities and we work well together
Yeah.
as a family. The Logie nomination, and the other accomplishment is we are recognised on the street for something great,
Yeah.
not for marrying a stranger, not for doing something negative, or
Yeah, for sure.
not for a negative personal brand, for being great. And a lot of the time it's school children. I actually do school talks. So if there are any high school or primary school teachers out there, send me a message. I will gladly come and visit your class because our show is shown in classrooms.
That makes sense, yeah.
But a lot of the times it's school children, and I know when I get recognised because they'll do a little whisper to their mum and they'll go, "That's that mum from that show." And I love that.
Yeah.
Because I've had a lot of teachers reach out and say, your family has made learning history fun in our
sure.
classroom. Usually it's because of me crying over something disgusting that I've cooked for my family, but I love that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely seems like you've had a pretty positive influence, whether that be on young'uns, whether that be on the older generation. I mean, another time you had a pretty positive influence is when you emceed the
Yes.
AIM Talent Awards earlier this year. It was one of the first times that we had an interview
Yes.
together, and it was, I mean, honestly, to this day, after we wrapped up that interview, you said something to me that stood out. I asked you were just so quick with the answers. You told me what an on-the-fly interview was.
Yes.
And I asked, how'd you do that? That was just, out of every interview I'd done that day, you were the one that just kind of bang, 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 every single
Thanks,
question
Joseph.
done. And I asked you, and you were like, "I just do it. It's not that big of a deal." And that's something that stuck with me. Even when we hit live on these sort of things today, after that, every time I picked up a microphone, I was like, "Oh, Carol said just go for it, like it's nothing," and it stood out for me. So, with all that being said, we've got a 2025 edition of this show, and you'll be emceeing it, I assume.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to heading this time around after everything that we got to see, the first edition of it?
Look, the thing I'm most looking forward to, and the thing I love about the AIM Awards, is showcasing the talent, the business talent in this country, which is what Oz Arab Media and the AIM Awards does really well.
Yeah.
I think in this country, the big players get awarded, but the small players don't.
Yeah.
And they need to. You know, there's so before I was put on TV, I ran my own business coaching business, and I had a lot of clients come to me and say, you know, I'm struggling here, or I'm struggling there, or there's competition here and there's competition there. And the biggest thing I always used to say is there is enough business for everybody.
For sure.
And I'm not going to get into the whole coaching thing and how, you know, who you are, what you do, why you do it. But there is enough business for everybody. And what the awards does, and what I look forward to, apart from having a little dance on stage, is showcasing and awarding the people that deserve to be awarded, and, you know, putting them on stage and going, you know what, hey, you're doing a great job. Let's highlight that.
Celebrate it almost.
Let's celebrate it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're keen, I'm keen. That's going to be massive heading later into this year. So if you were to restart your entire career from scratch within the modern landscape, so I'm talking TikTok, Instagram, something you're very familiar with, how would you go about it? Whether that be pursuing a career, I suppose, as an influencer, or going back to where you currently are as a TV presenter, what would you do?
What I would do, so if I was to restart my career from scratch, I would have a more structured plan to build my personal brand. I think I've done a pretty good job so far.
Yeah.
However, it's been rather unstructured because I was thrown into this.
Unpredictable, exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
which is fine. Zero complaints.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was actually at a meeting at the network only a couple of weeks ago, and they said to me at ABC, and they said to me, "Wow, you've been able to build this, you know, speaking career and everything, and all the other things that you do off this one show, an ABC show, like being a non-commercial network." And I was like, "Yep." And the other person in the room said, "Well, it's Carol Ferrone. Do you know her?" And they said, "But hardly anyone that's only at ABC has done that." And then the other lady went, "Yeah, but it's Carol Ferrone."
It's your brand, essentially.
Now, I used to teach personal branding. To answer your question again, if I was to start again from scratch, or if I had a client, we would have a structured plan on how to build their personal brand.
Yeah.
And I actually teach this. And I would follow that in a more structured
For sure.
way, rather than just wing it. Now, I'm good at winging it. Most people aren't.
Yeah.
And that's not to be arrogant. It's just who I am. I'm good at networking. I'm good at working a room. It's just a me thing.
Yeah.
Having said that, if that is not your personality, that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You just, it's like some people can cook. I can cook without a recipe. Some people can't.
Yeah.
But if you can read and you can follow instructions, you can still make that bomb Alaska or that Carol's great 8-hour bolognese, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You just follow the instructions.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's probably what I would do.
So your biggest advice, I guess, to be find a structure, find what suits you, and just kind of stick to it.
Yeah, just follow a plan.
Yeah.
But for me, these days, if you, whether it's a business or you want to build your social media, whatever it is, I'm a huge advocate of building a personal brand.
Yeah.
Because, again, I don't want to get too much into Carol the coach, but people buy from people.
Yeah.
You, for example, you, Joseph, today you might be a journalist. Tomorrow you might decide, you know what, I want to be a farmer or I want to sell plants or whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you build a personal brand, people will follow you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that does make sense. It does definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My fans online, tomorrow, if I have a completely different show, they'll watch it because they love me.
Yeah.
A lot of my fans follow me not just because of the Back in Time series. Next week, if I have a show on the life cycle of a caterpillar, I don't know how that could be. I'll make that interesting. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They will follow me because they love me.
For sure.
And it's all about my personal brand, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, now, so you talk about the show, your brand, all that sort of stuff. Tell us what's in the works, what's currently on the way, and what we can expect from you heading into the future.
oh, look, that's a difficult question. I do have a couple of things in the works, but I don't like to jinx it.
Yeah, okay.
And ABC, come on, we need to get this over the line. But I have written my own show, which is not good. It's great. It's great. And I'm putting it out in the universe.
I'd love to see it.
I would love to see it too.
Yeah.
Stay tuned because when it happens, we don't say if it happens, when it happens, my good friends at Oz Arab Media will be the first to find out.
I can't wait.
And I love being on stage as well.
Yeah.
So, more emceeing, more speaking.
For sure.
And, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's been a pleasure. You've taught me a lot, and I'm sure you've taught the viewers back at home a lot. I've been Joseph Sayoun. That's been Carol Ferrone. This is